Hi everybody! Yay! I think we're live. Okay, so let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me, and we'll get started with this amazing, fun live practice session. Hi, welcome to the Piano Keys. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marina and I'm your best piano playing friend. In this live stream, I'm going to practice Oscar Peterson's Jazz Exercise number 1. I'll show you what process I go through as a pianist. And the purpose for me doing these practice sessions is to show you that no matter how easy or how difficult a piece might appear, there are definitely ways to wrap your mind around that piece or that song, figure out how to practice it in the best way so you're not just playing stuff over and over. It gets really frustrating. And then, how you can improve upon it as well. So it's to give you like a glimpse into the back, the behind the scenes of how pianists can practice. And if you haven't studied with a teacher or if you haven't studied with a good teacher, you don't really know how to do that. And as an adult especially, you don't want to waste a whole lot of time just, doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a better result or a different result. I think somebody said, I think it was Einstein, said that was kind of insanity. Anyway, so I wanted to, give you this glimpse into this jazz etude. Now, even if you're not interested in playing jazz, it doesn't matter. The process is very similar no matter what you're learning. But also, if you are interested in being a really good pianist, regardless of your age, I really don't want to hear, oh, I'm so old, I just want to be able to get around the piano. For that reason, especially if you feel like you're losing ground in terms of, I don't even want to put it this way, but in terms you don't have a lot of time to practice, that's even more reason to actually do the stuff that works, right? Okay, so before we get started, I just want to say hi to everybody who's here. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so happy that you're here. I really am. I'm happy that I'm here. It's been a really long time since we've done this. So we got Joe, Herman, Jan, Kathy, Linda, Ken, Herman again. Okay. Hi, Diane. Hi, Anna. Linda's still here. Okay. Stanley. Hi, Stanley. I haven't replied to your email yet, but I will. It's been kind of crazy around here. It's 3 p.m. in Brazil. All right. So, hi, Elisabetta. Bonjour. No. Oh, no, it's, okay, I don't know how to say good evening. Buonasera, I think. Anyway. Hi, Krasimir. Nir. Oh, thank you so much, Nir. I'm so glad that my stuff is helping you. Hi, Shiva. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Vera. Bonjour. All right, let's get started. So, and you can hear me okay. You can hear the piano okay. All right, let's do this. I put up the, let me go over here. There's a lot of stuff to handle back here. So I put up the PNG of the first page of this exercise. In case you're not familiar with Oscar Peterson, he, in my opinion, was the greatest jazz pianist, of all time. Jazz is primarily a 20th century, it started in the 20th century, so it doesn't go back that far. But the reason I really love his playing is because his musical ideas are amazing, and if you know jazz, you know that there's a lot of improvisation and theory knowledge involved. We're going to get a little bit into theory today, too. But if you watched him play, you've seen his fingers just flying, and it's not like messy, where you're like, what are those notes? He's really clean. That's because he studied a lot of classical music. He started as a classical pianist, and he required of all of his students, some of whom went on to be, very famous jazz pianists, he required of them to study classical music, especially the music of Johann Sebastian Bach. I know Bach seems scary to a lot of people because there's a lot going on. Both hands are moving at the same time. There's independent lines. And because it's so challenging, that's what helps you to level up. If you are mostly playing, and I'm not saying this is bad, but if you're mostly playing stuff like this, you can see there's not a whole lot of stuff happening in your fingers, right? But if you're doing something like this, you see that both hands are equally responsible for what's going on. So if you find Bach challenging, that's good. That means there's something there of value for you. I have a video called the +1 technique, and in that video I show you how to practice this Bach piece. I feel like a lot of times when people look at a piece that looks difficult, they're like, oh man, I have to learn that whole thing all at once. That's not true at all. I don't learn anything all at once, and I'm going to show you here in this fairly simple jazz exercise that is actually really, really cool to play. All right. Hi, Luciano. Hi, Zen Music Vibration. All right, we're all here. Hey, guys, if you're here, please can you give a thumbs up to this video? Because, there's YouTube algorithms and stuff like that. So when I go live and people give thumbs up and engage the way that you're doing, it shows the algorithms that, hey, this might be valuable content. Let's promote it. Okay. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to kind of hide myself here. Can you all see? Okay. So when I talk about a system of music, I'm actually talking about like a line of music. So for example, the first 4 measures are a system. I might even just call it the line. So the first thing I'm going to do is look through the entire piece. And I thought I already silenced my phone. I'm getting the prompt that I am live on air. Great. I know that. Okay, so I'm going to look through the entire piece and find things that might be similar. Chances are 99.99% of the time when you're playing a song or a piece that you've heard that is fun to play, there's going to be quite a bit of repetition in it. When will there not be repetition? If somebody is this happens a lot in I guess like intellectual type of music, where composers are just kind of exploring compositional forms and things like that, or if something is just written through atonally and there's really not a whole lot of like form to it, not anything you're gonna play as a music lover. I don't even want to play that stuff. I had to get my degrees, but I'm done with it. So I would say for you, 100% of the time, you're going to find lots of repetitions. The things I'm going to show you today, I talk about in depth in my book, Practice Makes Permanent. And those of you who have read it, I think Herman, you said it was like the best money you've ever spent on piano, something like that. So the link to that book is below. And I talk about all this stuff, and there's a lot of downloadable things that you can print out. So I'm going to look through the first line, the second line. So I'm looking at the first page. Let me check in with you guys, because the thing I'm looking at right now isn't the screen. Can you all see the music that I have on the screen? Just let me know that you can see it. Hi, Martin. I didn't know you were in, maybe I did know you were in New Zealand. Hi, Jen. All right. You can see. All right. Thank you, Stanley. Okay. So looking at the first, somebody just said something. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Looking at the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Let me make it so you can see all 5 lines. I can already see that there's stuff that's similar. So if you look at the first line of music, the first 4 measures, and the third line of music, just visually, you can see they're the same. The left hand looks the same, just as a picture, not even looking at really note individual notes. But the left hand looks the same, the right hand looks the same. So if I do look at individual notes, I can see that, yeah, actually the first line and the third line are exactly the same. Now, let me show you the second page. The second page, let's make it bigger. I don't want to mess anything up. Oh, yep, I messed something up. Okay, sorry guys, there's a lot of, yeah, there we go. Alright, looking at the second page. One day I'll have an assistant who can do all this stuff for me. Who wants to move in with me and be my assistant on these things? Okay, looking at now the second page, and I'm looking at the second line of the second page. That also looks exactly like the first line. So far, I know 3 lines of music are exactly the same. Looking at the next to the last line of music, so if looking at the second page, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth line, exactly the same. So if we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, we've got 10 lines of music and 4 of them are exactly the same. Do you see? I haven't even played a note yet, and I can already tell, like, oh, if I practice 1 line, I know 4, almost half of the entire piece. Okay, looking at the second line of music on the first page, okay, so the first page on the left, is that repeated anywhere else? Well, on the first page, no, but on the second page it is. The third line on the first page is the same as the third line on the second page. Cool. All right. So, you can find similarities like that. Now I'm gonna, let's see, let's hide that second page. I'm gonna go through and play it a little bit and talk about the theory of what's happening. I'll just do the right hand so you can also see it. Let's see if I can move, yeah. Okay, let's do it down here. Hopefully that's not too hard to see. You can, by the way, you probably can find this online somewhere and follow along with me. I don't want to post it because I don't know how that works with copyright. Okay, looking at the key signature, we have 3 flats. Okay, B flat, E flat, A flat. Let's see if I can move this so you can see my hand better. Okay, B flat, E flat, A flat. That means anytime we come across a B flat, an E flat, or an A flat, you're going to automatically play it flat. Or, a B, an E, or an A, you're automatically going to play it flat, unless there's another, like a sharp or a natural, then that's going to change stuff. But looking at the very first measure, there we go. Looking at the first measure, you can see, if you've looked at my chord book or seen my 3 videos about chords, you know that this is a C minor triad in second inversion, right? Okay, well that's easy. Left hand is, how can I do this so you can see? There we go. Left hand is playing, left hand is playing the root of the chord, and the right hand is playing the chord in second inversion. Alright, so I know I'm starting in C minor. Then I do, one wiggle, F, E flat. So I go 1 higher than my top note. And then I come right back. So I don't even need to look at the music now. I can close my eyes and do that. I know it's C minor triad. And I'm playing E flat, then I go down to the G, alright? F, and then come right back. Okay? So I've played this measure with my eyes closed, one of the practice steps that's in the book. Why is it valuable to play with your eyes closed? Let's see who was paying attention when they read the book. Joe, good question. Joe is asking, hi random pianist, love your name. Joe is asking, why E flat and not the easy key C major? Okay, so it's actually in C minor. In C major, it would sound a lot different. He wanted to do it in C minor. Okay? Speaking of easy keys and hard keys, what makes a key easy and what makes a key hard? Hi, Regina. So, a lot of people think that, well, when you have black keys, it's automatically hard. Why is it hard? Because you have to remember where the black keys are? Okay. I would rather say that it's maybe less familiar to you. It's not hard. But if you never play in the harder keys, every song in the world is not written in C major, and you wouldn't want it to be. It would be so boring, right? So, like the stuff that people always want to play. It's not in C major. Sorry. So how will you ever level up to those if you don't play the easier pieces in the, quote, harder keys, right? So it's not that the key is reserved for people who are already good. You get good by playing stuff that's challenging. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Yeah. All right, so big deal. We have to remember that there are three flats. So what? You remember lots of things in everyday life. Okay. So what was my question that nobody has answered yet? Like before I came here, what did I ask you guys? I hope I'm not blowing out this microphone. Am I too loud? I don't remember what I asked. Let me look at the music. Here you go. Oh, right. Why did I practice with my eyes closed? Okay, A for Ventus. Sorry if I butcher your name. I play with my eyes closed to feel my muscles working, and this helps me on achieving muscle memory. Yeah, that's really good. Right. Playing only on white keys, it can be harder. It depends. Another thing that helps me with that I do the eyes closed practice, and I've been doing it for years, is it really makes me focus on what it feels like under my fingers. And I hear it, differently when my eyes are closed. Also, if I know that I can play with my eyes closed, it gives me a sense of confidence. And we all know that confidence goes a long way in helping with stage fright. And stage fright doesn't just happen when you're on a stage. Like, it could happen when you're playing for somebody just standing next to you, even like your friend or, your significant other or something. So stage fright is a huge problem for all performers, and even if you don't consider yourself a professional performer, you still get a little nervous. So by building up confidence, practicing with your eyes closed, or there's different ways you can do practicing too fast, practicing too slow, you kind of convince yourself that, yeah, you actually can do this. And so when you go to perform, you feel better. Right? Diane, with more difficult keys, that is keys with more accidentals, it helps me to play the scale beforehand. Yeah. I've always, and I don't know how I started this, you might have noticed that I did in the beginning. I don't know how I started that. By the way, sorry, I'm looking green over here. I can't figure out my color situation. Sorry if my teeth look green to you. I always go through and look at the key signature and just play them for myself. That works for me. Alright, so I did the first measure, eyes closed. And I know that measure is repeated several times in the piece. So I can look at the different instances so that my eyes are looking at a different place of the sheet music and giving me different visual cues. So I'm not just always staring at the first measure. I want to look at the different places in the sheet music where that happens. Now, when you have a 2-pager like this one, it's easy. When you have like a 10-page piece, you really do want to go find those instances where the similarities happen and look at those particular places while playing them. I'm not going to do that here, just to save time. Okay, the second measure, I see that the left hand is just holding what it was. The right hand's doing something cool. It's playing an F sharp. It's not in the key of C minor. Why not? Let's put it in there. It's a chromatic tone, okay? So it's going, just going back and forth. Do you see? All I'm doing is going by half steps. So that's one thing I can remember. I can also sing it, although my allergies. Just to make sure I can reproduce it with my body, my voice, and then with my hands. Sorry. Okay? And I know that that's going to happen several times. One thing you might ask is, okay, we're playing jazz, why are we not swinging the eighths? We can. Oscar didn't put in anything to let us know whether we're swinging or not swinging. Swing is a jazz and blues concept where you don't play the eighth notes evenly. There's different kinds of swing. But what I did notice is looking through the entire book, when he wants you to swing, he'll notate it like a dotted eighth note with a 16th note grouping. That sounds like swing. But he didn't do that here. You could play it swing. I like it straight. Because even though he wrote eighth notes, this could easily be a 16th note run. Right? And also watching Oscar play, he has a more staccato touch. Like, he wouldn't play it like this. He would play, right? That's kind of an advanced technique. If you're in my technique courses, we haven't even got anywhere near that, because this presents a great opportunity. If you don't know what you're doing, it presents a great opportunity for tension. I'm not using any tension. But if you haven't yet learned how to use your body, you could get very tense doing that. So if you're a more, not an advanced pianist, just play it legato. Okay? So I've got those two measures, but I know they happen several times. Now, what happens in the second measure? Well, the left hand goes down, B natural. There we go. Already were, But B natural is in the key. If you've seen my 3 kinds of minor scales video, then you know that B natural does exist in the key of C minor. So that's fine. It belongs. So left hand is just playing, going down a half step. Right hand, right hand's doing something very similar, but it's now on a different chord. So it's starting, it's a G7. So we're going from, here's the theory part, the C minor chord, because we're in the key of C minor, we can also call that the 1 chord. The reason it's called the 1 chord is because it's built on the first note of the scale, okay? The tonic. The 1 chord loves going to the 5-7. So, and the 5-7 in this case is the G7, 5th note of the scale. 7th chords, I don't think I've talked to you guys about it. Just for now, take my word for it. So it's basically going from C minor to G7. Easy. But of course, it's cooler than that because he's adding other, a non-chord or a non-scalar tone. Now, going back down to, so far the G has been the common note between the 1 chord and the 5-7 chord. of similarity to Bach? I am. And then if you look at the last measure of that line, it's the same as the second measure. What? That's awesome. Okay, so playing it slowly. Want to make sure you can see my hand. Nope, that's not it. Okay. All right, so playing it slowly, we got our C minor chord and our little wiggle. Now we got our G7 and back to our wiggle. That's fun. How am I choosing my fingering? Well, I know from the first chord, I'm going to have to go to F. So I don't want to do this, and unless I have to. I don't want to switch a hand position when I'm going to be playing fast. Will you guys tell me if I'm speaking too loudly? I know it's really annoying to hear someone like blasting out a microphone. Yeah, Doug, it's like bebop. Playing with eyes closed because I looked bored. Doug, I love that. I've been accused of, like, when I was playing music that's super easy, like in rock bands, I mean super easy. Yeah, people would tell me, like, you look so bored. I'm like, I'm not bored. It's just like, I'm not gonna make it look hard when I'm just going like, okay. But all right, sound level is good. Thank you very much. That's my pet peeve. Okay. So far, are you with me? We're incorporating a whole bunch of stuff. We're doing muscle memory, but what we're also, I'm doing muscle memory, but I'm also using theory. I know I'm just going from the 1 chord to the 5/7 chord. Okay? So, the little wiggle. I'm using the thumb on the G because it's already there and I know I'm gonna go right back up again. Okay? Of course, I'm not going to pause here when I'm actually playing it. Then I do 5, because for me it's easier. I have small hands. But if you have nice big hands, you might do 4. Whatever you prefer. Now here, because I know I have to go up to the G, then I do have to stretch my hand out a little bit. That might change when I do it fast. Okay, so now I'm going to play that whole line with my eyes closed, nice and slow. Playing slowly, very slowly, sometimes is harder than playing fast because you have to keep your focus on where you are, where you're going, that sort of thing. So I'm going to play super slow. Now I'm going to the G7. I know I have to stretch for that G down here. And then this is the same thing that I played in measure 2. Okay? Now I'm going to play it a little faster and I'll actually look at it. Sometimes when you play with your eyes closed and then you open your eyes, it's like it feels unfamiliar and you're like, whoa, that's kind of weird. So I'm going to now play it with my eyes closed, eyes open, looking at the music a little bit faster. Sorry. Do you see how much time I'm spending just on that first line of music? First of all, I know it's going to be repeated again later on, so in a way I'm practicing different parts of the exercise, but also, how do I put this? When you start learning a piece, it's like you're entering into the world of that piece. And I'm not saying you can never play through it one time through just to kind of figure it out. I might do that. I probably would, but I'm not going to do it here because it's not valuable for you. But once you start practicing, I would just practice this one line and I would get up and do something with my day. Then I would come back and review it and then I would do the next line. So it's like you're only requiring of yourself just to do a little bit of work. This is so valuable because you know you train yourself that if you just sit for a few minutes, and if I were not talking to you, it wouldn't take this long for me to practice. This part might take me 5 minutes at the most. I'm being very generous. But you prove to yourself that even with just a few minutes, you can accomplish something, go and come back. So this gets rid of the idea of, I don't have time to practice. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Okay? I went to a concert of amateur pianists who had competed in the amateur division of the Van Cliburn piano competition, a very prestigious competition. And yes, you could tell they were not professional. I could tell they were not professionals from the little details that I saw. But all of these people were working as engineers or doctor or nurse, finance, things like that. And they were able to do this, okay? So nobody's requiring of you to do a competition. But if you don't have 5 minutes in your day to practice piano, you may want to look at your schedule and your lifestyle. Or maybe you just really don't want to play, and it's like this beautiful dream that you've had forever, and it should stay a dream. Okay? My point is, you do have 5 minutes. If you want to do it, you can accomplish stuff. Okay, maybe for you it would take 10 minutes. And maybe for you, instead of the whole line, you would do the first 2 measures, which means you also know the 4th measure. So, adjust according to your needs. But this I don't have time is a really convenient and socially acceptable way of saying that you're not giving something priority. Okay? So you're proving to yourself you can practice in small chunks. Another thing that is really important, that is very valuable in practicing this little bit over and over is, how by the way, did you know there's still yellow pages? Those big thick books? I don't know. My friend told me she had placed an ad in a yellow pages. Okay, whatever. But you know how those yellow pages, each sheet is very, very thin, right? Each sheet of, and if you're very young, maybe you don't know what yellow pages is, look it up. But if you're very young, 15, you're probably not watching me. Okay, anyway, if you don't know, look it up. So each page of the yellow pages is very thin. But have you ever tried to bend or tear a yellow pages? It's almost impossible, right? So when you practice like this, these tiny thin layers, you really teach yourself the skills that you're learning as well as the pieces that you're learning. So please don't discount I only have 5 minutes. I say, wow, you have 5 minutes. Go sit down and practice. All right, let me check in with you and see if you have any questions or any brilliant, okay. Stage fright, my best nightmare. Listen, I don't know if you've seen my stage fright video, but I am not a stranger to stage fright. I still get it sometimes. It depends. For example, I wouldn't call this stage fright, but right before I went live, because it's been so long and there's so much technology behind the scenes and lighting, and which I still haven't really got it right. But I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to forget to do something? Are people not going to hear me? So there was a little bit of nervousness. It's because I haven't done it in a long time, and it's really important for me to get this right. So if I were to do it more often, I would not feel as, jittery starting. It will still be very important to me because I appreciate you all showing up and I want you to get value. But stage fright, the most famous performers in the world have had it, still have it. It doesn't mean anything. It's all in your head. And I know that's easier said than to experience, but as I said, I still experience it. If you want to see my stage fright video, just go look it up. And I tell you ways of, not coping, but adjusting yourself so that it's not such a huge influence. One of the ways that I mention is to get rejected in daily life. I know it's really weird, but just going and asking for things that are going to be a no, and sometimes they end up being a yes, gets you used to not being so sensitive to the opinions of others. In fact, I experience it every time I send out an email blast. If you're on my mailing list, link below, you've received emails from me. Well, every time I send it out, I get at least one unsubscriber. So, and some of them are like people who signed up for my email list, and they've been reading my emails, and I'm just like, what did I do? So it's good for me. For whatever reason, that person didn't want to hear from me anymore. That's fine. It's good for me to accept that and move on. Okay, it makes you resilient. Okay, let's see. Classical pianists sometimes apply literal staccato to jazz with disaster opus results. I don't know about that. Maybe, but as you can see, I wasn't going. I mean, that's really weird. You want to stay close enough to the keys, right, that you can actually play them. Okay. So, Joe, the way I would invite you to expand your thinking a little bit. There are not beginner pianists and advanced pianists, and somehow you transform like that from one to the other. How do you get from beginner to advanced? In the same way that a child grows up. They're not, 2 feet tall one day, 6 feet tall the next day. They're not needing help, carrying something heavy one day and then, doing 500-pound push-ups or whatever lifts the other day. You build up, okay? So it's not beginner or advanced. It's learn whatever you can and apply it. Or not. It's entirely up to you. It's your choice. But nobody is born knowing how to play piano. I always say that. When people say, oh, it's easy for you. It wasn't easy for me. I spent thousands of hours practicing. And lots of money getting training. Okay. Close your eyes and wave your body. They will see you're enjoying it. Feeling okay. Oscar used to sweat very hard when playing. He used to carry a towel. Yeah, he did. A lot of those jazz guys did. I'm sat at my piano right now trying to follow your tips. Good. Very good. You can always watch this. This is going to be on my channel. You can watch it later. Hi, David. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for the wonderful compliment. For me, it's distracting to play and look at the keys and my hands. It's as if my brain should do an extra work. Okay. So, Elisabetta, you bring up a really good point. It's not a bad thing to be distracted. It's one of my practice steps, actually, to practice being distracted. It's okay. I was saying this to one of my students this week. And I noticed that it also applied to me in a different aspect of life. It's like we want to change, we want to get better, and in her case, she wants to be a good enough pianist that she can play the pieces that she wants to play, which are pretty advanced pieces. But at the same time, we don't want to let go of what we're familiar with, of what we're comfortable knowing about ourselves, right? Again, I talk about this also in the book. It's like your self-concept has to catch up and also pave the way for the things that you want to do. If you always do the things that you're comfortable with, you're not going to learn very much new stuff. And regardless of what anybody says who's trying to sell you something, playing piano is not easy. Even if you do it badly, it's not easy. It's a skill. And it takes knowledge, and it takes work, right? So if you want to improve your piano, now, if you're happy with where you are, disregard. But if you want to improve, you want to do things that you haven't done before, your self-concept has to change. And you have to be willing to expand your boundaries of what feels comfortable. That will be different for different people. So someone who doesn't want to close their eyes and practice, that they should practice with eyes closed. Someone who doesn't want to look should practice looking, because it makes you a better pianist. You can still play however you want, okay? CPGDE. I don't know how to say that. Thank you for asking. I think you're referencing my hip surgery. Feeling a lot better, have much less pain. My biggest problem is that I'm not allowed to do any stretching and I can't bend my hip more than 90 degrees. So the biggest problem is restraining myself from doing stuff. But thank you so much for asking. Much, much better. I will forever tell anyone who is experiencing pain to go to the doctor. Don't think that, looks like open widget. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth. Can you guys still see me okay? All right. Anyway, I hope you're seeing. Okay, let me move on to the second line, because the second line has some interesting stuff on it, and we'll go for about another 15 minutes or so. Okay, let me do. I'm gonna cover myself so you can see me and the music. Okay, now looking at the second line, you can see that there. It looks like there's more stuff happening, right? Hey, we're back to that C minor triad. That could be an add 9. I'm not going to talk about that. Then F minor, which is the 4 chord. Sorry. Very, very, oh, you can't see. Let me see. How can I do this? I know. Okay, let's do that. Okay, there we go. So, my screen's not big enough. So we're looking at the second line now. We've got a C minor chord, an F minor. Whoa, there comes a really cool chord. D7. Okay, that's not even in the key. We're not going to talk about that kind of theory right now. And then here we have this really cool beautiful lick. You can take that lick and transpose it to different keys and use it in your playing. Maybe I'll do a different video of transposing. Oh, forgot to tell you, starting in 2023, I'm going to do a live 3-month class studying some aspects of these exercises, showing you how to transpose, talking about techniques. So basically these are going to be like tools to level up on piano. If you're not on my mailing list, you might miss it because Facebook doesn't show you everything that I post. I'll talk more about that later. But okay, so that's beautiful. This one, I would definitely practice a lot with my eyes closed. I can see this is going to be an issue here. For me, this is an issue because I'm crossing my body and I have small hands. So I really have to make sure I'm aiming for that beat. Okay. Let me see if that's the best fingering. I can also do that fingering. Or this one. I'm going to try them both kind of at a fast tempo because something that works slowly may not work when you're playing fast. Yeah, I like the 4th finger better for me. Okay, so that one will take practice. What I'm going to do right now is play the 2 lines looking at the music. So, oh, by the way, I didn't talk about the left hand. Second line, we go from C, A, D, G. This is a 2-5-1. Again, a more advanced concept we can talk about another time. So, from the beginning. Now, here's my C minor. Did I play A? I should have done A flat. So I'm gonna play that second line. I think when I did A, it should be A flat. Okay. Oh, one thing I do want to point out. The beginning of the second line is the first time when the right hand doesn't play right on the beat. It plays on the and. So that's something to kind of remember because there's only 2 instances of that. The second line and the fourth line are the only times when the right hand at the beginning of the line doesn't play right on the beat. Oh, so that's something you remember. Okay, let me do the second line. Let me see if I can remember that. I'm gonna try with my eyes closed. That was pretty good. Okay, I can just hear it now. Oh, it's so easy for you to memorize. Class, why does it seem so easy for me to memorize? Anyone? Why does it seem like I can memorize that like that? There must be quite a lag because I'm not seeing anyone. Are y'all still here? You know your chords. Okay, good. What else? Thank you, Martin. What else is it? 100,000 hours, pretty much. Doing it for a long time. Practice a lot of times. Yeah, it's practice. Okay? So, some people will, I'm not saying anybody here, some people might take this as an opportunity to say, oh, well, I can never do that. Click off. And other people, the really smart people, will say, if she can do it, I can do it. Right? I always do that. If I'm learning something new, by the way, you guys, 6 years ago when I started my YouTube channel, I did not know about video editing. I didn't know anything about anything technological. I mean, I had done some music recording, so I knew how to use like recording software for music, but I didn't know how to make a website. I've been making my website. I didn't know anything at all, and I had to learn it, all of it, right? Because I couldn't afford to just hire a team. But even if you can, you want to know what they're doing. So every time I would get frustrated at 3 a.m. going like, this just isn't working, I would find somebody that looked of reasonable intelligence on YouTube or whatever, not a major genius, and I would say, wait a minute, if they can do it and they can show me how to do it, I can do it. I just have to figure out how to get from where I am to there, okay? So please, don't look at this as like, oh, I'm never going to do that. If you want to, you can. You can. This is not difficult stuff. It's just learning a skill and practicing it. Again, think about your line of work, whatever it is that you did when you know, if you're retired or that you do now. Were you able to be good at it right away? No. But you went to school, or you know, somebody taught you, you apprenticed, and you learned little by little. It's the same in piano, okay? All right, easy to say, hard to do. Joe, I mean, yeah, it was not easy for me to do. So what, you're only going to do easy things in life? That's fine. Not me. I want to do really cool things. Okay. Yeah, you have been playing piano since babyhood. Well, I'll tell you something, Regina, that doesn't really necessarily do it, because I have seen people who've been playing for a long time, and you couldn't tell that they've been playing for a long time. Let's just put it that way. The quality of the work you put in and the consistency of the work you put in is everything, not just the time. The time goes with it, right? If one is familiar with the notes on that scale, it is possible to predict the notes key to be pressed. It is, absolutely, but you don't know exactly what that composer is going to do, like what combination is going to be presented, right? Okay, like he could have done so many different things, but he went, okay? And then the more you practice piano or practice memorizing, it's like you create a file of sorts in your brain, you know, and then you start putting more and more information in there, and our brains are amazing, you know, they start to they start to pay attention in a different way when you pay attention in a different way. Like, you start to really make sense, right? Okay, so random piano. I think that memory is a fact of how much your mind is used to memorize. I can play memory and line of sheet music after eating it. Yeah, whatever you get good at, you get good at it by doing it a lot and doing it well, consistently. Okay, so I'm gonna, I guess, do you want me to keep going? I don't know. I don't want to bore you. That's basically that. You could also practice with metronome, but you guys already know how to do that. Improved my skills after employing techniques on it. Yay! That's good, Stanley. I'm so happy to hear that. That's wonderful. All right, so questions. Vera, little by little in piano more than in anything else. If you don't try to hurry, it works so much better. Yeah, if you could just remember the analogy of that big, thick yellow pages. And maybe this is a United States thing, I'm not sure. But Yellow Pages is basically, I guess, pre-internet. You would get a book delivered every year, and it would have advertisements from businesses and like their contact information. And if you needed a plumber, you would look under P and find plumbers, right? So, yeah, Stanley, you need to get my book. You need to get Practice Makes Permanent. if you feel like metronome is your enemy, because it's actually your best buddy. So anyway, just remember the analogy of the Yellow Pages. Each page is tissue thin almost, easily workable, but the whole thing together is almost not destructible by human hands, right? So put in your time, add one tiny sheet to your Yellow Pages of practicing. I'm really extending this analogy, this metaphor, and go at it like that, okay? Expand your mind, expand how you think of yourself as a pianist. You can't be the same person you were before and do new things. Every new skill or part of a new skill that you acquire, every bit of new knowledge that you acquire makes you a different person than you were pre that thing happening. Okay? Les pages jaunes in French. Ah, okay. Yeah, Yellow Pages. You use the rubato technique, kind of disobey the metronome. It's up to you how you want to practice. All right. Okay, oh, you have to go to work because it's tomorrow for you. All right, thanks for coming, Martin. Okay, hopefully this was helpful for you. Wait, I think you cannot, can you still see me? Yeah, you can. And, okay, if you have questions and you're in piano practice tips in the Facebook group, you can always post there. If you have performances you want to post there and get, our feedback, you can do that too. It's our online open mic session that's always there. And then, get on my mailing list, and that's all I have for you right now. Maybe we'll do another one where I do the more complicated parts of this piece. I hope you got some value out of this, and if you did, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you soon. Keep practicing. I'm really out of practice doing this, aren't I? Keep practicing. Have fun. And I will see you soon. Bye, guys and gals and everybody.